So it was the night before the conclave, and all through Rome, everybody's waiting to, I don't know, make the rest of the rhyme work for me. Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's RickCast, and I am happy that you folks are hanging out with me this wonderful, wonderful Wednesday evening, the 6th of May, 2025. That is right. We are on the eve of the conclave, which is really the thing that's kind of dominating most of the headlines, the news. Yeah, sure. There's some other things that are happening here and there, but overall, it's about the Pope, the conclave, the cardinals, where they're eating, how their masses go for the last 9 days, which a lot of people are saying are kind of like tryouts for the papacy and all of these other things. But we're gonna see, and as you can see behind me, I am more than happy to announce that we will be doing Smoke Watch, which is really just, hey, was there smoke today? No. And then we'll move on to the next subject because we're not going to go too hard onto it. But it will be interesting for my fellow Catholics and I to see what is going to be happening in Rome starting tomorrow. The festivities are in place. The Sistine Chapel has been redone. The Room of Tears has been set up. All of that stuff is ready to go. And so it'll be interesting. At least my luck, they'll announce the Pope on Friday when I'm doing an LTC class and I can't talk about it, which is fine. I mean, that means we're going to get a great Pope, and that's how it goes. That's fine by me. It is nothing but the situation at hand. So I got one hot take before the show starts, and then we will do Trump meeting Carney, the prime minister, the newly elected commie prime minister of Canada. SCOTUS is allowing Trump's trans ban to continue. There's a new law out of Washington state, which is attacking Catholics, signed by we talked about this a little bit last night, signed by the Catholic in name only governor who cited his Jesuit friend when he actually did it. Just talk about persecution of Catholics and so forth, which seems to be happening quite often, and people seem to think that it's not. I don't want to get into the Shiloh stuff. If you know, it's the Shiloh, whatever her name is, up in I don't even know, no, Northwest or something like that. And she said this thing on the playground, and now it's a thing where it's like a weird response to the Carmelo Anthony stuff, and it's just a continuation of the race baiting that has happened. Shiloh Hendricks, and apparently some black child. We don't know if it's 5 years old. I guess we'll talk about it right now. Either 5 years old or 10 years old or autistic or not autistic. All these things, as you know, in the social media era, there was an initial narrative and then there's the truth. Was taking something out of her bag, so she called him the hard R, if you understand what I mean. And now she's raised almost $700,000 for a legal defense as the left is trying to go after her. And we're seeing a lot on the right. There's a lot of confusion on how to approach this Shiloh Hendricks situation, because the right doesn't do groupthink like the left. A lot of Democratic blacks, I'll just say that, operating groupthink, i.e., this black person did something, we've got to support him. Now, that's not all blacks, obviously. There's a lot of independent thinking people. And so, Matt Walsh has come out. The Daily Wire is actually absolutely hysterical for this, because Matt Walsh came out and said that he likes the Shiloh Hendricks thing, because it shows that cancel culture is dead. And Ben Shapiro is once again highlighting Ben Shapiro Let me just actually get this post out. We'll talk about this first. You know, highlighting how much Ben Shapiro is, Mr. Facts versus feelings type of deal. So this is really it's this thing's got legs just because it's also on the heels of the Carmelo Anthony thing, and everybody's very much get out of here. I gotta get rid of this thing from now on. Oof, there we go. So if you look at this, you have Ben Shapiro saying, "Stop giving your money to crappy people," equating the two, which a lot of people are like, Ben, that's not really the way to do this. And he's getting ratioed into the Stone Age for it. And then you have Matt Walsh saying the Hendricks case has killed cancel culture. 126,000 views at that time versus 94,000 views. Folks, it's happening, meaning what I said. Everybody else is just starting to come on to this. Hey, Lou, how are you doing? How do you do? I told you Walsh would be gone by summer. I told you this back when Jeremy Boring left. I told you the cracks were there. I told you Matt Walsh doesn't want to deal with it. He's getting the pieces in place to leave. He's becoming more and more outspoken against the wishes. Now, of course, the Daily Wire said we've always had this freedom to disagree with each other. Yeah, tell Candace Owens and Brett Cooper that. And so, sorry, I didn't mean to like cough into the mic, but we're seeing all this, and that's why I don't want to address the G money. Jason Whitlock, if you really want the ins and out of it, Jason Whitlock has been on this thing like an absolute thief in the night. I can't say like a dog in a bone or a thief in the night or whatever the case may be. The dude has called it. He's on it. He's got a much better breakdown than I ever could. So I've just been watching his take on it. I think it is stupid. I think we're all being gaslit into being more tribal than we are by nature. And it's not a good look. And it's only going to use to increase tensions between people because they need that kind of division to take place in order to just give credence to the left, because chaos only helps the left. Chaos only benefits the left when they do this stuff. So sorry if I'm slurping on the mic too. I apologize. That's why we're not going to cover it outside of that. It's a bad situation overall. It's being gaslit by social media. And it's a bad look. It's a bad look for everybody. It's a bad look for everybody. And the fact that conservatives are getting dragged into this. I mean, obviously you want to have an opinion on it. Have an opinion on it. But that's not going to be something we cover here. I know no matter what, it's going to be used as part of the asymmetrical warfare that the left is planning to do in the summer. They're planning to cause as much chaos, division, and strife as possible in order to just make things difficult for people. That's what they want to do. That's what they thrive on doing, is making things chaotic. All right, so that's it. I'm not going to talk much more about that. Let's see. Let's get to our next hot take. So the whole thing on Trump yesterday, AIing as the Pope, and then he comes out with this last night.
But far greater than the numbers that you're putting out. It's a very, very deadly, horrible war. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. President. See, Catholics were not so happy about the image of you looking like the Pope.
Oh, I see. You mean they can't take a joke? You don't mean the Catholics. You mean the fake news media. Not the Catholics loved it. I had nothing to do with it.
I mean, he's not wrong. The majority of people, and we talked about it last night, didn't really care. My thesis was correct. Any Catholic that was upset by it was trying to gain virtue signal points and trying to show how holy they are. And it's 100% right. Trump's answer actually gets better. It is actually so Trump as he gets going.
That somebody made up a picture of me dressed like the Pope and they put it out on the internet. That's not me that did it. I have no idea where it came from. Maybe it was AI.
I don't know. Maybe it was the Maybe it was the AI that did it. It wasn't me. He's like the Shaggy song. That's his defense to anything. Wasn't me. But it was on Truth Social. It wasn't me.
But I know nothing about it. I just saw it last evening. Actually, my wife thought it was cute.
Now, Melania is a Catholic, so.
She said, isn't that nice?
My question about
Actually, I would not be able to be.
Now, hold on. I got to go back here. Trump's reasoning as to why he doesn't want to be Pope is so Trump.
They can't take a joke. You don't mean the Catholic. But he made up a picture of me dressed like no idea where it came from. Maybe it was AI. But I know nothing about it. I just saw it last evening. Actually, my wife thought it was cute. She said, isn't that nice?
my question about
Actually, I would not be able to be married, though. That would be a lot. I'd have to the best of my knowledge, popes aren't big on getting married, are they? Not that we know of. No. I think it's the fake news media that.
It's like, I wouldn't be able to have. Melania would miss me if I was Pope, so I can't be Pope. Because what would Melania do? So, hey, he's got at least that much of the catechism right. He can't be married and be Pope. So, but that was his response. And I think it was just something that people were freaking out about. And it was good to see Trump just be like, wasn't me. It was the fake AI, deep fake media, whatever. It was on Through Social. Don't care. You're stupid.
You know, they're fakers.
My question, though, sir, was about the fact that it was put out on the White House account, even though it was AI generated, it was a joke, it was a meme. Does it at all diminish the substance of the official White House account to have it go out on that particular
give
channel?
me a break.
Yeah, it's just a waste of time. The way these people ask these questions are just so stupid. They're just, I mean, I'm with Trump on that one. It's just annoying. Well, what about the fact that it was on the White House again? This guy tweeted a picture of, or truthed himself as a picture as a Sith the next day. And it's probably not even him. It's one of Barron's like buddies who's just, I guarantee you, whoever's running the True Social account is whatever's trending. They just is like, oh, maybe we should, you know, if it was like In-N-Out Burger was trending, they'd do an AI picture of him eating In-N-Out Burger. It's whatever the trending thing is. They just put a picture of him on it and stick it out there to be part of whatever's trending. That's it. It doesn't matter. But that's the official nuts and bolts of it. Nobody should be offended. Everybody can stay calm. You can be offended later if you really, really need to be. Go ahead and be triggered by it. But outside of that, you should be all right. By the way, welcome to the 100th episode of RickCast. You know, we don't celebrate. We just keep going. 100 episodes of RickCast. Over 100 subscribers on Rumble. We got about 109, which is pretty awesome. Keep growing and growing on that platform. Doing great on Getter as well. Hello to the people on Getter. You guys are great. We love seeing you there as well. And of course, my bar rats on YouTube are always holding down the fort no matter what. Great to see you guys as well. People on X, I don't care. Oh, yes. And Twitch, I salute you. I salute you, Twitch man. Or person. I don't want to assume your gender, but hi. Anyway, let's get to it. One more. Just not a hot take, but just something we'll cover real quick. Good to see that India and Pakistan are now, you know, shooting at each other. It's good to see two completely not stable nuclear nations deciding that it is now time to get violent and get hot. Also not really great that it's two of the least sanitary nations on earth deciding to shoot at each other. Yeah, not a great thing. So today, India launched Operation Sindoor. It's Operation Sindoor, striking 9 targets infrastructure in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir with missiles. The strike is a response to the deadly assault last month, targeting Hindu visitors in Kashmir. So glad to see those two are, you know, figuring it out so well. Yes, well, Lou, not to be that guy, but I would not have 100 episodes without you guys. So really, it's congratulations to you. It's congratulations to you on YouTube, to you on Getter, to you on Rumble over there. I did this little thing. To you on Rumble over there. It is because of you we have 100 episodes, not because of me. So thank you guys, every single one of you guys, for hanging out with me. And do me a solid, hit the like button wherever you are, and let me know that you're thankful or that you're going to be around for another 100 episodes, because maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll see. I get it. Or am I? All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to our first story of the night. Here, let me see. Do I have it, or did I get rid of it? I just got rid of it. Yeah, I was just talking about happy whatever days, and then I go, oh well, let me get rid of that. So yeah, let's show the fuel. Yeah, I'm a regular genius here, aren't I? Let's see here. Come on, where is the stupid thing? I can't believe I just deleted it. Give me 2 seconds. Maybe I shouldn't have 100 episodes. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, 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 ay. Where is he? 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 Of course, it's the article I used is now gone. There it is. Got it. I got it. 5 takeaways. 5 takeaways. Here we go. Boop. 5 takeaways from Trump's meeting with Canada's Carney. What I should have done is distracted you with moving pictures like this one.
Hospitality and above all for your leadership. You're a transformational president. Focus on the economy with a relentless focus on the American worker.
He sounded a whole lot different than he did when he was elected, right? Because there were leftist accounts that said Carney's on his way to smack Trump around and tell him the 50 Canada's not for sale. Real easy to be behind your microphone, like I am here, talking all that smoke and talking all that heat. Oh, well, Trump's this and Trump's that, and we're going to take the fight to Trump. And then all of a sudden you're sitting next to him and you're like, this dude is huge. And I'm in the Oval Office. Maybe I might want to calm that down.
Securing your borders, ending the scourge of fentanyl and other opioids, and securing the world. Talking. And I've been elected with my colleagues here, with the help of my colleagues here. I'm going to spread the credit to transform Canada with a similar focus on the economy, securing our borders, again on fentanyl. Much greater focus on defense and security, securing the Arctic and developing the Arctic. And the history of Canada and the U.S. is we're stronger when we work together, and there's many opportunities to work together. And I look forward to, addressing some of those issues that we have, but also finding those areas of mutual cooperation so we can move forward.
That's great. Very nice. Thank you very much. It's a very nice statement.
So he goes on, and I don't have the clip where he says, like, Canada's not for sale, and Trump's like, well, you never know. I'm still going to take it from you, Carney. You never know. Let me see if we can actually find it real quick, because that's how we roll here on RickCast. Trump never say never, because that's what he did, because he is fantastic. And we there's a lot of things that Trump does that can kind of upset us, but then there's stuff like this, which in the arena of the politics is entertainment, right? We can establish that at this point, that politics is entertainment. And so let's see. Let's get that going. It's here. It's not here. Let's remove that. Bring you
Hospitality.
Up. Nope, get away. Come on up. Here we go. Take a listen. Oh, you can't hear it? Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Man, all right. Well, I tried. Usually you guys can hear it, but maybe it's just you. Maybe it's just you. Maybe your computer is so bad you can't hear it. Maybe it is. But since I promised it to you guys, I will give it to you. Give me 2 seconds. All right, let's try that again. Let's try that again, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, crotchety elder, living up to your name. Let's try that one more time. Here we go.
Very well. They like each other a lot.
Well, if I may, As you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace that you visited as well.
That's true.
And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever. But the opportunity is in the partnership and what we can build together. We have done that in the past. And part of that, as the president just said, is with respect to our own security. And my government is committed for a step change in our investment in Canadian security and our partnership, and I'll say this as well, that the president has revitalized international security, revitalized NATO, and us playing our full weight in NATO, and that will be part of it.
True. And they have, I must say, Canada is stepping up the military participation because Mark knew, they were low and now they're stepping it up, and that's a very important thing. But never say never. Never say never.
He's got to do it. He's got to do it. He's never say never. Never say never, guys. Like you can have that nice little speech that you just made, but understand, Trump gets the last laugh. I always do. Just like, look at me. Hillary Clinton is not here. I am. So the meeting followed the escalating trade disputes, including U.S. tariffs of 25% on steel, aluminum, some cars, Canada's retaliatory tariffs of nearly $30 billion on U.S. products. When you think $30 billion is a lot of money, it's not compared to the American GDP. So, they're going to say, well, it's $30 billion. Nah, it's not that. It's like a drop in the bucket. Trump reiterated his desire for the U.S. to produce its own cars and expressed openness to annexation, while Carney firmly rejected any changes to Canada's sovereignty, stating the country is not for sale. Trump called the trade deficit a subsidy and said annexation could bring, quote, a massive tax cut for Canadian citizens, where Carney stressed Canada's views would not change on the 51st state. The talks underscore the risks to the $1.2 trillion annual trade value and highlighted calls to separate trade from security. Well, Canada is the one that loses in this whole thing. It really is. I'm not sure. Once again, RickCast is a show that is absolutely in, I want to say the bag, but is 100% supportive of protectionism. I've always, once this thing started a couple weeks ago, ever since Liberation Day, I have been fully in the camp of American protectionism. And I'm fine if it makes Canada a little uneasy. I'm fine if it makes the stock market kind of go up and down or whatever the case may be, simply because it's time. By the way, the market is pretty much recovered all of the things, all of the troubles that people were worried about and the losses and all of this other stuff. And if you didn't get in there, now you don't have to play the market, right? If you don't think about that. I jumped in and all of my stuff. I have not lost on any of my the stocks that I bought, in particular Apple. The fact that I bought Apple at 170 and now it's over 200 is, I wish I had more money. I wish I wasn't so broke. I would have bought 10, 12. I would have bought as much Apple stock as possible. But the fact is, he's there. There was a lot of talking. He was there on his good evening, G. It is one more lovely lady in the chat. Thank you so much. Great to have you here. Appreciate it. You help my numbers too, my my demographics, so it's not just all old white men like Crotchety Elder. Anyway, it's great to see these guys come face to face with Trump, only because they all act like they're going to be tough when they get to see him. And then they come and they bend the knee. Yeah, G-Money, I'm not saying if you don't feel comfortable doing the stock market casino, don't get involved with it. This is by far not my only means, but there's a little bit of extra money, and I saw there was some opportunity to make some. A lot of people are like, don't care, I'm not going to get involved. I say it today, but tomorrow it could crash out because, as we said, it's a casino. I'm okay with it because I didn't put a ton of money in, but I put enough to put a smile on my face. Let's put a smile on that face. So Carney visited Trump. There's nothing earth-shattering. He got his quips in. They'll cut out the part where Trump says never say never. He'll go back and said, I stood up to Trump. Look how great it was. I told him we were never for sale. And there's this continuing debate. Trump says never say never. We're going to make it the 51st state. And then there's the idea of, well, what about Alberta? We're just bringing in Alberta and Saskatchewan, I think, is the other one that are very conservative. But then we have to ask the question of this. Is a conservative Canadian just a rhino? I don't mean it in a negative way. I mean that kind of neoconservative, moderate Republican, fiscally conservative, socially liberal, or are they Bible belters? I know they're not all, like a Kennedy Hall. You know, he's a very staunch Catholic, which means he's very conservative in that nature with all those kinds of things. How many Kennedy Halls are there up there? You know, if Alberta was filled with Kennedy Halls, then I'd say invade the sucker tomorrow and take it. Even though he'd be, Canadian pride, he doesn't want that, obviously. But this is just another show between the two of them, another world leader that comes to try and talk bad about Trump or talk big to Trump and then ends up just bending the knee. And that's fine, because that's what they all do. I know India, in the midst of trading missiles with Pakistan, said they've agreed to drop tariffs and they're going to do this whole thing between the two of them. We're not hearing anything on that back end. All of these negotiations that have been taking place. Because remember, who's the only one we care about? We don't care about India. We don't care about Madagascar. We don't care about Japan. We don't even care about Canada that much. We do a little bit because Canada's been taking a lot of advantage of us for a long time. But it's China. It's China. That's the one that everybody cares about. That's the one that, we're looking to go after, for lack of a better term. Trump tariffs impact on China. I know I saw something about that the other day. Let's see. We're not going to find anything in the American media because they're all just going to say like they're not doing anything. So it'll be whatever it is. So, but it will impact the Chinese in the long term. Don't get it twisted, because the Chinese are a market-based economy. If that's what they're not a consumer economy. They're an exporter. They're a creative economy. Somebody's going to be better than me. I had the term a couple weeks ago. They don't have any of that problem. Hold on. Twitter's giving us problems. Then don't worry about Twitter. Focus on Getter. I'm just letting her know what to do in real time. I honestly don't care. I'll talk about that in a second. But there is this one thing. Well, I mean, Dixon, welcome to the show. I think it's your first time here. If not, I apologize. We kind of do, because you guys don't spend money on your military. The reason you don't spend your money on the military is because we subsidize your military efforts. Just those kinds of examples. So you guys do exist in a relative blanket of security because of us. And there's a couple of other things. I mean, just think about that. Just think about the fact that you don't have to spend as much as you would in the military. You can put that towards healthcare and all the other things that you do. So that's a pretty big subsidy. Now, if you want to think that's bullcocky, then that's fine. I get it. But that's just one example of it. Now, Trump, when he says that, I think remember, just like when Trump with the AI image of the Pope, half of what Trump says is true, but most of it is trolling. Most of it is to get under, no offense, you are correct. I will give you that, but we don't need it. We have enough oil in East Texas to power these United States for 100 years. We have the Barnett Shale. We have the oil off the coast of Texas and Louisiana. Texas itself, I don't know if you know this, Texas has its own grid. We can actually unhook from the rest of the grid and be fine. But we appreciate it. We like the neighborly relationship. We're happy to take your oil and process it and send it back up to you and all the other things. The relationship between Canada and the U.S. should be one that is a harmonious one. The problem is that Canada is turning into such a Marxist. We're doing it, honestly, not to be a jerk. We're doing it to help you. There's two reasons. We're doing it to help you, and we're also doing it so we don't deplete our own reserves. So there's two things on that. It's really like, why do we buy stuff from other countries that we could, because these United States, the economy is just so massive. that we want to help and we want to have a good relationship with our neighbors. And that facilitates it. So Mr. Dixon, I think I think you might have to check on that again. So it is what it is. Fix your own country. Well, we did just elect Trump, and we're trying to do so now. So it is. Ooh, we got a live one. I like this. Ignore Canada. You know what? If we ignored you tomorrow, I don't think you would like that result. Let me just throw it out there. I don't think you would like that if we ceased all activity with you tomorrow. We stopped buying your oil. We stopped providing you military assistance. If we stopped doing all these things. Now, Mr. Dixon, M. Dixon, we're not trying to be combative here, but there are some things that we need to work out. So it is what it is. And it is a contentious thing because Canada has been able to use economic protectionism for you. Yeah, that's fine. But Canada has engaged in economic protectionism for a long time, and it has benefited from NAFTA and other things. And I think you may not realize how much you benefit from these United States. So it's just something you should think about. Your Canadian pride, I like it. I respect it. I'm a Texan, right? Texas forever. I'm a part of the Texas nationalist movement. I would love to see Texas go out. I don't think you understand that we could also shut off the entire grid in your country because your pipeline runs through the U.S. If we decided to stop, you also built your pipeline from one side of the country to the other. It goes through the U.S. If we ceased operations, your lights would go out too. So it is, be careful what you wish for on that one. Because if you look at a map on how the oil flows from one side of Canada to the other, it does go through the US. Just understand. Okay? That's all. I'm not trying to be combative here. I'm trying to respect the fact that I love the fact that you're here, Mr. Dixon. You know, I appreciate it. And I like the fact that you're actually engaging in the conversation. I think this show is only better when guys like you get in here. Hey, man, if you ask most Americans like me, we don't want it. I actually have told, and this show has said, we don't want Canada. But maybe Alberta and some other places should become independent territories. Maybe they should do that, but you know, there's too much of Canada, and too much of the population is way too far left that it wouldn't be beneficial for the United States to actually have or buy Canada. So on that note, we're going to move on because we could be here all night. But Dixon, thank you for engaging in the conversation. I actually appreciate that greatly. So, all right, this is RickCast. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. I love the fact that we get people in here kind of chopping it up. So it makes the show better. It really does. It's not just me, sounding like the teacher from Snoopy. Wah, 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 wah. So I appreciate it. I love it. Thank you for joining me. Hit the like, subscribe, share button. If you like what we're doing here, we try to have as much of a conversation as possible. We don't want to be adversarial because nobody, I don't want to be in a show where we just yell back and forth at people. If you want that, you can go to other shows. You can go to MSNBC and all. You can go watch Piers Morgan. I ain't into all that. But we can talk about stuff and we can try to at least see what's going on here. And yeah, I can understand why Canadians are upset because they don't, they're very much, they feel like they're getting bullied at this point. Maybe true, maybe not be. Anyway, so let's move on. There was something we were going to talk about, or something somebody put something in there and said I was going to talk about it. No. Yes, Texas first. I'm a Texan. I would love to see Texas separate from the United States and be its own country. So that's how I'm looking at it. It also took you probably 7 years to get it. An interesting stat. Oh, by the way, that medical is because you don't have a military. That medical is because you guys don't fund your military. So you have no medical debt. You can actually now say thank you. You can say thank you to every American in the chat. Thank every single one of them because our tax dollars, which funds the military, protects you. And because it protects you, you cannot have that debt. Also, it's quicker for a dog to see a doctor than a person in Canada. So enjoy it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Like, Germany has free internet because they don't have a military. We have a military. My bro-in-law is Canada. My bro-in-law is... Yeah, we've done the military. Your military doesn't really scare anybody. No offense, but the Salvation Army could probably occupy you guys in like a week. All right. Yeah, let's see. Military versus U.S. There's a pretty fun... here we go. Globalfirepower.com. I think this is a great website. Let's go with this one. This is fun. I like this. I was not planning this tonight. This is great. All right. I hate it when the thing does that. Makes me look foolish. Well, doesn't really take much for me to do that. But let's take a look at this. Globalfirepower.com tells us you're not peacekeepers. So 1 out of 145, 28 out of 145. Manpower, U.S. beat you. Air power, U.S. beat you. Land power, U.S. beat you. Naval power, U.S. beat you. Natural resources, U.S. beat you. Financials, U.S. beat you. Logistics, we beat you. We got through our military, our population, 341 million versus 38 million. Available manpower, 150 million, 463,000 versus 16 million. Fit for service, 128 million versus 13. Let's see. Active personnel, 1.32, 68,000. I can keep going. Reserve, almost 800,000, 27,000. Let's see. You guys really beat us in the paramilitary forces, so that's really great. I'm pretty happy about that. We have 13,000 aircraft. You have 351. We have 1,700 fighters. You have 66. Dedicated attack. We have 889. You have 0. Let's see. Special missions, aerial tankers, helicopters. We win again. Attack helicopters. I think we're really shaken in the fact that you have 0 attack helicopters and we have 1,000. Land power. We have, I don't even know what that means, but it's 4,640 to 74. Armored vehicles, almost 400,000. You have 21,000. Let's see. Where's the fleet strength? We have 11 aircraft carriers. You have 0. We have 9 helo carriers. You have 0. We have 70 submarines. You have 4. Remember, you were trying to talk smack to me. We have 81 destroyers. You have 0. You have 12 frigates, though, so I'm pretty worried about that. We have, let's see. Airports, ports, terminals, railways. I haven't seen. Oh, wait, you did beat us in that one category. You were bragging about oil production. Your 5 million barrels of oil is not really much against the 20 million or 20 billion. I'm sorry. Your 5 billion versus our 20 billion. I mean, it just kind of, my point is you were talking all that smack about 5 seconds ago about how you had a military. You do have a military, but it's literally a MINO. It's a military in name only at this point. So my point is, if you're going to talk that smack, you better understand that if the United States was in any way, shape, or form aggressive, you wouldn't stand a shot. We're not, though. We joke about it, but you're getting pissy about it. And I think you need to understand it's because we have all of those things that you haven't had to spend your money on aircraft carriers, on planes, on all of this other stuff. So you want to brag about your health care. It's because you haven't spent your money on anything else. So, yes, we do. So I don't know why you be talking that smack. Actually, it'll be the Chinese when the Chinese take you over because you guys are working with them. Hey, man, we don't want you as the 51st state. But I was like, whoa, the United States beats everybody. 5 seconds ago, you were like, we got a military, bro. My brother-in-law is in the military. Was your brother-in-law all 16,000 military personnel? And that 16,000 personnel is not all active military. I'm just saying. I'm not even trying to be aggressive here. You kind of have to realize where you're at. These United States Trump is the only one talking about it. And I think he's talking about it to get you guys in line with how your economic policy should be. So it is what it is in that regard, bud. Just remember, you start talking about how much military you have. It's not that much. So maybe just keep bragging about that healthcare that you don't have to spend on because the United States protects you. And I'm not even a warmonger. I wish we didn't. I wish we didn't spend that much money on the military. I really didn't. Maybe we should actually start charging you like a fee for protection, right? If you guys think we're the mob, maybe we should charge you a protection fee. Anyway, let's move on because I've gotten way too much off of it, but I enjoyed the conversation, so thank you. Second story up from the day, we're actually going to focus from the Globe and Mail in Canada, sponsored by the U.S. The U.S. Supreme Court lets Trump's transgender military ban take effect. This is by Andrew Chung of Reuters. They just sourced Reuters. The U.S. Supreme Court on Tuesday has permitted President Donald Trump's administration to implement his ban on transgender people in the military, allowing the armed forces to discharge thousands of current transgender troops and reject new recruits while legal challenges are in place. So I know the people are going to be like, oh, well, if they can fight, why can't they just... Transgender military personnel actually cannot engage in any fighting capacity. If anything, they are paper pushers and stuff like that. And that's not an offense to anybody that's in the current armed forces. If that's the job you have, you served, I didn't. I'm not talking smack to you. I have a buddy. He's a Marine. He jokes that he was a paper pusher. So if you guys want to actually, if you guys are quote unquote paper pushers in the military, please know I respect the crap out of anybody that signed on the dotted line for the armed forces because I never did. So but transgender troops can't serve in fighting capacity. Transgender troops are not mentally stable to serve. Transgender troops take up a bulk of their time and they take up a lot of resources medically. There's really no benefit. There's no benefit to having transgender troops in the U.S. military. And I think anybody that has a clear, objectionable focus on trying to make the military the best fighting force on the planet actually making that. So, well, I'm sure the Canadians are full of transgenders. So the fact is the court granted the Justice Department's request to lift a federal judge's nationwide order blocking the military from carrying out Trump's prohibition on transgender service members. The Republican president's directive was one of the first series of steps he is taking to curb quote-unquote transgender rights. Transgender rights aren't really a thing because transgenders don't really exist. They're just people who have medically distorted themselves to pretend they're something else. And if you've ever heard me talk about transgenders, as a Catholic, I try to talk about it with them as much love and respect as I can. These people are hurting mentally. And instead of indulging the fantasy, that actually never ends up happening when they go through with the surgery. It never heals that pain that they had. In fact, it leads to other things that we can't talk about here on the program because I'll get taken off of YouTube. And we don't want to talk about that. But indulging in the fantasy and then saying, oh, you can serve doesn't really help. It doesn't help them. It's actually a more compassionate thing. And I know people won't say that because we're built in a matriarchal culture that's like empathy. Oh, and if somebody wants to serve, let them. Like Dennis Leary had a funny bit back in the 90s. I don't care. Whatever. If you want a sheep and a goat and a Humvee, go. Like, it was funny at the time until we try to figure out, like, it's a burden. It is a burden on the one job of the military. See, the left and the idea of empathy and the idea of letting people be who they want to be and do what they want to do. So there's no idea behind, there's no point in having people who don't know what they are in these capacities. Oh no, I respect U.S. forces. Because here's the thing. Dixon and I have been going back and forth for a couple segments. I care about American forces because I'm American. Canada is Canada. I am actually under no legal obligation to care. So, Anyway, so the court's brief order was unsigned, as typical in emergency matters that come before it. The court has a 6-3 conservative majority, 3 liberal justices, Sotomayor, Elegi Kanan, and Kenjani Brown Jackson, who I don't know if it was this case, but there was a recent case where Brown Jackson was talking, and even Sotomayor was like, just shut up for 5 seconds. I should have highlighted it at the time, but even Sonia Sotomayor is getting tired of Brown Jackson just kind of talking for nonsense. The Seattle-based U.S. District Judge Benjamin Settle early found Trump's order likely violated the U.S. Constitution's Fifth Amendment to equal protection under the law. No, because you're not required to serve in the military, so it's not really anything like that. It's not really the case in this regard. Let's see. It doesn't really say what the actual I wanted to see what the court said, but the court doesn't. We don't actually have what the court said here. Anyway, so that's a pretty solid thing. I like it. And I think it's good because I'll tell you, I'm a 5'6". I mean, if you look at my body mass index, you would say I'm morbidly obese. I'm a fat dude. I'm not in shape. I've trashed my body. I'll be the first to die. I should have never been in the military. And if I ever did serve in the military, I wouldn't, unless I was in like the Navy, they would have put me on like a submarine because I'm so tiny. I'm not a war fighter. I'm not a guy that's like a SEAL Team 6 dude. Just like I'm not fit. I was never fit to be a police officer. I'm not tall enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm stronger than a woman, but as a person that's under 5'8" or the normal height, I don't have a right to go into the military and be like, you need to put me on SEAL Team 6. All the 6'2" guys are going to laugh at me, as they should. Just like, they say, don't get pulled over by a cop or a short cop or a woman cop because things are going to go bad for them. So it's this idea that in certain things, firefighters, military, police, they're meant for the alpha males, the physical specimens. You want the biggest, baddest dudes fighting wars. The Spartans weren't like, let all women fight in the Spartan war. No, they were like, we are training fighters. That's what we do. And even back in the day, women had a place in the military, but it was not on the front lines. But transgenders are, they're not women or men. They're somebody who's mentally suffering something. So they need to figure these things out. And I think Trump, it's actually an act of compassion on Trump's part when he did that. I believe it should be, because if you're not fit to serve in the military, like myself, I use myself as an example. Because you're like, oh, well, you're a cis white male. I'm a short, fat male. I am in no way, I would be a paper pusher, wherever, police, fire, military, wherever those things are, because I'm not fit. If there's a burning building and I break in through the door, you're going to be like, all right, come on, shorty, and try to, hopefully you'll drag me out. No, you want like The Rock or John Cena to bust through the door to save you. That's who you want and that's the people you want fighting your conflicts and defending your borders or doing whatever. Now, maybe I could have been Top Gun fighter pilot. Yeah, right. G Money's there, right? If I joined the Air Force, I could have been a fighter pilot. They need the tiny guys. Although my math skills are bad and I'm blind as a bat, so I couldn't even done that either. But anyway, getting back to this, I'm just the mumbling on this and the going around on this is just to tell you that it is an act of compassion to do this, and that I'm glad that the Supreme Court, which by the way, it allowed Illinois' assault weapons ban to go through without anything, which is a violation of the Illinois state constitution of anything else. So the Supreme Court, while judicial tyranny has been running rapid, they at least got this one right. So you got to give it to them in that regard. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is RickCast. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. We almost had 20 people on YouTube a couple minutes ago. I don't think they liked my rant. So good. All right, let's move on to our next story of the day. This is going to be more of a Catholic focused story, so we may lose some people on that. Just hold on, hold out. I promise that this story is not just about Catholics, but it is a broader attack on Western culture and Western rights and the foundation, which is the Catholic Church, on said rights. So this is from cruxnow.com. U.S. Justice Department says it will investigate Washington state law requiring violation of seal of confession. Now, if you are a Catholic, you understand that one of our sacraments is the sacrament of confession. I know my evangelical brothers and sisters, I understand you guys don't believe in it. Let me just explain it, and then we'll kind of move on. The seal of confession, we go in there, we confess our sins since the priest has been ordained by the one true Holy Catholic Roman Church. They are given the power to forgive said sins. And if you want an example of it, I can't quote scripture because I'm a bad Catholic, so I'm sorry. But we have that as one of our sacraments. And it is very important to remain in a state of grace because we fall. We need to go to confession. And then when we confess and we are forgiven of our sins, even though we know we're going to fall again and fail again, it gives us the strength to stand up and keep going. This is a clear violation of this. I don't see Washington going after Muslims and having them violate their traditions and their religion. I don't see them going after, let me say this in a more tactful way. I don't see the state of Washington going after other branches of the Abrahamic faith. How about that? That's a nice way to put it. The Jewish religion and in Islam. But they do seem to love going after Catholics. So a new law in the state of Washington requires members of the clergy, quote unquote, to report cases of child abuse or neglect learned in confessional to police is being looked at by the U.S. Justice Department to see if it violates the First Amendment of the United States. And I know what you're saying. If you're not a Catholic, you're saying, well, Rick, as a Catholic, you have to agree with this because if there's a report of child abuse in the confessional, don't you want that taken care of? That is what we call the Trojan horse, right? That's what we call the Trojan horse, the way to get in. They use something like that. What about this extreme circumstance? What about this extreme thing? What happens if this is taking place? Okay. What about if there's an institute? What if if a Muslim marries a child bride? I don't know any cases of that. I know it happens in the Middle East. What about that? There's other aspects in places where abuse of children take place, but those religions are not required to report and or police it even. So why the focus on the Catholic faith? Because they're looking to destroy and get into the Catholic faith to control it, because the Catholic faith is the one that has stood in the breach against transgenderism and all the things, all the degeneracy of Western civilization. Senate Bill 5379 passed by margins of 61-31 in the House and 28-20 in the Senate and was signed by Democratic Governor Bob Ferguson, a Catholic, on Friday. See, they use the fact that I'm a Catholic and I think this is a great idea. You're a Catholic in name only, but if you're a Democrat, you can't be a Democrat and a Catholic. It's that simple. You cannot be a Democrat and support abortion. You can't be a Democrat and support same-sex unions. You can't be a Democrat, and those are planks, foundational planks of the Democratic platform, which is why we say like Tim Kaine and all these other guys that come on there, I'm a Catholic. No, you're not. You're only a Catholic when you decide, hey, right now, I need it to be used for a way to get into this group, and I want to control this group. Protecting our kids first and most important thing. This bill protects Washingtonians from abuse and harm. Then you need to attack, if it's that case, abuse happens, unfortunately, in all religions, because all religions are man in one way or another. My famous saying is the Catholic Church is infallible. Unfortunately, the guys running it are not. Unless there's these kinds of carve-outs or these kinds of requirements for people who practice Islam or people who practice Judaism, then it's a single pointed attack on the Catholic faith. And you're right, Crotchety. Safety, right, with the cough, cough, jab, jab, that was one of the biggest ways to take away your rights. The culture of safetyism is the primary way the government weasels its way in to rip you away of your rights. So it is what it is in that regard. But the idea here is the bill offers no exemption for the abuse seal of the absolute seal of confidentiality that applies to the Catholic priests. Archbishop Paul Anitas of Seattle issued a statement referring to the quote of St. Peter in the Acts of the Apostles, "We must obey God rather than men." That's a great archbishop right there. That's a great, and I hope these priests and that archbishop are ready to go to jail, because when tyranny happens, if it comes down between obeying the laws of God versus the laws of man, it's no question. The law of God always wins every time, every single time. So, and then he continued, "This is our stance now in the face of this new law. Catholic clergy may not violate the seal of confession, or they will be excommunicated from the church." This is some masculine Catholicism that I am just down with. That's what I'm talking about. Plant the flag. I don't care what your law says. It ain't happening here. That's what I'm talking about, and that's what I like to see. The Archbishop says the Catholic Church agrees with the goal of protecting children and preventing child abuse. Right now, you have a higher percentage of your child being abused in a public school than a Catholic church. Yet I don't see the governor of Oregon going after teachers, probably because they're huge donors to the Democratic base. The statistics are all there. I don't know if I have it on me. Once again, I probably should have prepped, but you guys would be crazy if you're like, Rick, you actually prepped your stuff? I know I had it somewhere. The actual statistics of Catholic Church versus maybe it's on X versus public schools. It's absolutely crazy. Child abuse in public schools versus Catholic Church. Let's see if I can get this over there because I'm blind as a bat. Let's see. Oh, that's a study. I don't want to read that. I just need I need images because I'm stupid. Can you give me an image here, please? No. Okay. Anyway, you have a higher chance of being abused in a public school versus a Catholic church. So it is what it is in that regard. The Archbishop said the Catholic Church in the U.S. has been committed to preventing sexual abuse for many decades, reporting incidences to law enforcement and cooperating with civil authorities. Catholic Church has gone a long way to make up for the sins that they committed. They absolutely have. Was it perfect? No. And the Catholic Church has gone leaps and bounds to demonstrate that they do take the protection of children seriously. Haven't seen it in public schools, and other Abrahamic faiths have not been held to the same standard, despite the fact that abuse happens in those places. I mean, you look at the Southern Baptist Church. The Southern Baptist Church had a huge scandal, SBC, child abuse controversy. I had a huge video on this once, and I stupidly deleted it. Let's see here. See if I can find that. So, real quick, I know I'm using Wikipedia, and I know for a fact Henry Cavill would not be happy.
Wikipedia? You're using Wikipedia as your source of information.
I'm sorry, Henry, but I in a pinch, when you don't do your research beforehand and you kind of just wing it. So, sexual abuse in the Southern Baptist churches. Widespread sexual abuse cases in the Southern Baptist Church were reported by the Houston Chronicle and the San Antonio Express News on February 19, 2019. The report found that 380 clergy, lay leaders, and volunteers had faced allegations of sexual misconduct, leaving behind 700 victims since 1998. I don't see the state of Oregon going after the Southern Baptist Church. And I'm not going after you guys. It's not me. I'm not trying to say, well, they're just as bad. I'm saying abuse happens. Temptation happens to man, and they fall. They fall constantly. And unfortunately, young children are victims, and it's awful. And better the millstone, right? Better a millstone be around the necks of every single one of these men than they ever hurt a child. So my question here is, why is Washington focusing on Catholics? Simple, because the Catholic Church is the church that is standing in the breach, and it is the one stopgap. And so they are always looking to destroy the Catholic Church, to go after the Catholic Church, to infiltrate the Catholic Church, to destroy the Catholic Church. And it's sad to see. And it's one of these things that is sad. And it's not Islam. It's not Judaism. It's not Southern Baptist. It's bad Catholics that are going after the Catholic Church, right? Somebody in the chat room will know this. A bad Catholic is a worse enemy to Catholicism than any other religion. I know it was a saint who said that. I'm an idiot. If you know the quote, please drop it in the comment section down below, so I can sound a little bit smarter, even though it's a little too late for that. But be warned, just like under Biden, when Biden went after Catholics, Catholic Biden, his DOJ went after Catholics in going undercover in Latin masses and things like that. Same thing here. Democrats will always target the Catholic Church because the Catholic Church stands in the way of everything they believe. And so good on the Archbishop in Oregon, and I'm glad to see them putting up a fight. That's great to see. This is RickCast, ladies and gentlemen. Angela Watson, love Trump from Australia. Our Aussies, man, we love you guys down there. Australia is such a beautiful place, and you guys are going through some stuff here too. Hold on, there's a little bit of language here, but Dale from Nova Scotia, most Canadians are wussy commies. Cheers to you, my friend. Good to see you here. Thank you for joining us. So it is what it is. I'm glad to see all of you joining me here on RickCast. Thank you for hanging out. We live stream every night at 6 p.m. Central Time. And I love the fact that you guys are getting a part of the conversation. You guys make the show go. That's why we're at 100 episodes. And I appreciate every single one of you guys here. All right, let's get to the last story of the night. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a great time tonight. I really appreciate you guys. You guys are making the show better than I ever could. Last one from newsnation.com. Americans are having fewer kids due to money concerns. This is a survey. 77% of parents say raising kids costs far more than expected. This is from Lending Tree. The annual cost of raising kids has jumped 36% over the past 2 years. And the Trump administration is considering a $5,000 cash baby bonus. Let me right off the bat. I don't like the baby bonus. I don't like $5,000 for baby bonuses. You could trace the fact that it's more expensive to raise kids because we now have 2-parent households that work. I know I don't have kids. You can say, well, Rick, you don't know what you're talking about. Burr, burr, burr. I've had people tell me that before. So take, I guess, this with a grain of salt. If you have an opinion, let me know in the comment section down below. When both parents are out of the house, daycare is then instituted. Daycare is expensive. Also, the fact that hold on a second. Before I get into this whole thing, I got to give you all the warning. The misogyny alert has been created, so let's get after it. Women in the workforce have diluted the workforce, forcing wages down and making it tougher for men to support a household on a single income. That's just a fact, which makes it more expensive. And this is not women's fault. Women have been brainwashed into feeling they need the Megyn Kelly thing that we did a couple weeks ago, the covert feminism of women having to work. If women stayed home and ran their household, they may be able to cut off some of those costs. This is another thing that people aren't going to like, and they'll say it's because I don't have kids or I don't know what I'm talking about. Americans exist in a culture of consumerism that maybe things are more expensive because you need to have a new car. Maybe things are more expensive because you need a bigger TV. Maybe things are more expensive because you need a bigger house. I don't know. These could be things that impact them. It could be not. That's what I see. But the fact of the matter is, it's always been expensive to have kids. Your grandparents had 8, 5, 6, 7 kids in the Great Depression. So this idea that it's too expensive, it's always been expensive to raise kids versus the time that you live in. But children are such a gift that you struggle, you sacrifice for those kids. Now, once again, you don't have kids, Rick. What are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah. You're an idiot, yada, yada. Just my opinion, but that's kind of how I look at it. Let's see here. In the 60s and 70s, women actually wanted to stay home and not work. Feminists said we can't give them a choice. Yeah. And communism and capitalism are very much two sides of the same coin when we're talking about the pursuit of materialism. And that pursuit of materialism has made things more expensive. It's so, these people who will say that are like, oh, it's so expensive to have kids, yet they're taking 3 or 4 vacations a year. Your grandparents didn't take vacations. Now, am I saying you shouldn't take vacations? No, because then you would be like, well, I don't have a job. Okay, I get it. I'm just saying there's a lot of discretionary spending that goes into, do you have to go to NFL games or baseball games? Do you have to have the discretionary spending that most Americans take place or engage in? They could probably cut 90% of that out. A lot of people complain that it's too expensive to have kids while buying a new house or needing to upgrade their house or needing a new car or doing all of these other things. I know I'm not going to make a lot of friends with that, but it is what it is. Let's see. With the cost of a child raising near $300,000, many parents are rethinking just how many kids they can afford. According to a study by Lending Tree or survey, almost half of parents with young children say they have fewer kids due to financial constraints, and 77% said raising a child has been far more expensive than they expected. Well, I mean, do you have to buy all the toys that you have to buy? I know some people do. I know some couples, they have a lot of toys for kids that they don't use. I have a lot of families that put their kids in daycare. You could save that cost. There's a lot of stuff. That's really it, Crotch. If you wait to have the money to have kids, you'll never have kids. And that's the thing. People feel like they need to be in this place of financial security, but there really is no financial security that's ever guaranteed. And that's kind of the lie that's been given to people. Those challenges aren't imagined over the past 2 years. The annual cost of raising a child has surged from $21,000 to $29,000, 36% jump. Much of that increase is due to skyrocketing daycare costs. So now we're finding the root of the problem. It's daycare. And daycare is a necessity because both parents have to work. And both parents have to work because society deems that both parents have to work because there aren't enough jobs for men to be able to provide for their families. Now, of course, that ties into the shipping of jobs overseas and all these other kinds of things that Trump was talking about before. But if we're going to just nail it down to daycare, could parents say, hey, and there's a lot of women that don't want to be stay-at-home moms. They don't. So it's very interesting to see in that. Parents in the U.S. can now expect to spend $297,000 raising a child to adulthood. Financial support often doesn't end there. A recent savings.com report found that half of all parents are providing regular financial assistance to their adult children. Perhaps most alarming, about 2/3 of parents surveyed by Lending Tree say they've gone into debt to make ends meet for their kids. I don't know, and I don't want to cast aspersions on people, but what are we spending the money on? Are we taking into account that parents are divorced now and they feel like they have to buy things for their kids to make up for divorces? Or there's a lot of factors here that we don't know are behind this. Recent CDC data shows that U.S. fertility rate remains near record low in 2024, continuing years-long trend that has alarmed demographers and drawn attention to the Trump administration. Trump is considering a $5,000 cash baby bonus to new mothers. Another proposal, according to the New York Times, would reserve 30% of scholarships in the prestigious Fulbright program for applicants who are married or have children. The problem, let's see, women these days tend to look down at stay-at-home moms as if raising the next generation isn't good enough. There is that, yeah. Who puts a dollar amount on raising a child for so many years? I mean, I wish Brian was in the conversation. Brian's got many kids, and he seems to make it work. I know families that have 4 or 5 kids and they make it work. And really, it is society telling you, hey, kids are expensive. Kids are expensive. Children are expensive. Can you afford they need to have the latest tech. They need to have the latest clothes. They need to have the latest games. They need to have the latest this. They need to go on vacation. They need to be driven around in a Cadillac. They need. Kids need parents. Kids need parents in a stable environment. That's what they need. But society is trying to tell you, no. You need to get them all of this stuff. So you need to work so you can get them all of this stuff. And it really is, and this is going to be the thing that really upsets a lot of capitalism. And there's a lot of capitalists who don't think capitalism is the root of why things are so expensive for kids. There's also the loss of community, right? A lot of people are more transient, which means they don't have family nearby. A lot back in the days, grandparents could help out, brothers, family members could help out with babysitting and things like that. Don't have that anymore. Loss of family, the loss of job opportunities. There's a lot of reasons that go into this supposed stigma or idea that is too expensive, when really it's a cultural thing. It is not a financial reason that it is expensive to have kids. It is a cultural reason why it's expensive to have kids nowadays. And I don't know how we fix that. You let me know what you think in the comment section down below if you have ideas on how to fix it. Mine is stay-at-home moms. If the dad has to work 2 jobs, then that's what he's got to do. A male could work 2 jobs and pretty much equal the salary of a female. Most times. Now, of course, that's just my misogyny talking, but it is what it is. All right, folks, that is it for an action-packed episode of RickCast. You guys have been standouts tonight. Every single one of you. Do me a favor on the way out. Karate kick, super kick, give the elbow drop to the like button. Leave me a comment on the way out, wherever you are, on Getter, on Rumble, on YouTube. All of you guys have been studs here on the 100th episode of RickCast. We will be back tomorrow with Smoke Watch Day 1. And we'll see how long it takes. A lot of people think it's only going to take a couple days, but who knows? We'll see about that. We'll talk about the conclave only because it's going to be the biggest story in the world for the next 4 or 5 days. So we are going to cover that as well. But we are going to talk about that tomorrow. Thank you, Lou. You warm my heart. I actually appreciate all my bar rats. Hopefully we got some new bar rats tonight. Everybody that joined us for the first time, you're honorary bar rats. Please come back. We love to have you. We'll talk to you all soon. God bless. And until that day comes, free Dexter Taylor.